On the 3rd of September, a new chapter for photography in Africa. It began with the opening of the Roger Ballan Centre for Photography in Forest Town in Johannesburg. Now, the new centre is one of a few institutions on the continent that's devoted entirely to photography. So this art destination, it's founded by internationally acclaimed photographer Roger Ballen and designed by award-winning architect Johannesburg Rooyen. And so on that note, Roger Ballen joins us here this morning to chat a little bit further. A very good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being part of these storytelling initiatives.
Pleasure.
It's History Month, it's our Heritage Month as well. So it's important to hone in and look at that collective memory that shapes us right through the form of photography. So tell us about the significance of this for you as we speak.
Well, it's very significant in the sense that I've been involved in photography since the 1960s, and I guess one could say everybody's a photographer now, so there's nothing more prevalent in people's lives than taking pictures almost. And so, it's in some ways a very understood, but in some ways a very misunderstood media, but everybody's involved in it. And so the impact of photography is worldwide.
Can we get into that, the understanding, its impact? Yes, you're saying everyone has access to it now, but the art of it, also just given your own institutional memory of what you've had to endure, right? Tell us about that evolution and where we're growing, but the challenges as well.
Well, look, it's been a media that's been around about 150 years. And for many decades, it was very specialized. You need highly technical skills to be involved in it. And I think this basically continued up to about 2000 when digitalization took place. And then things changed. It no longer became a craft. It no longer became a specialized business industry. It became a thing for everybody. So in a way, you have to sort of separate one phase of history from the next.
Sure.
And then how do you judge people's pictures? That's the next problem. So there's the so-called art of photography, and then there's photography, and how do you judge art? That's another problem, because we always talk about art, but what is art?
Yeah, well, some say
what is art? That's the issue. So I've come to the conclusion, after being involved in this for decades and decades and decades, all you can say is art is expression.
Art is expression, okay.
Whatever that means. What does that mean? So it's a subjective view of expression.
Sure.
Some people call themselves artists because they would paint the SABC day and night with a paintbrush, and they think they're as good as Picasso, and then the person painting the SABC would say, I don't like Picasso.
Yeah. No, it's
a very complicated situation.
It is, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder as well, right? That's also what
to some degree, but I guess in the end of the day, history is the final judge to some degree.
Well, we obviously have the exhibition and the centre as one. I wonder if you could speak to that. If we're looking at how some of the memories from genocide and trauma that emerged, would have come about. You're also looking at some of the other collective memories that's going to be an exhibit, how it's also been displayed. Tell us about that journey as well. Well,
let me tell you about the first exhibition, because this will and is having a major impact everywhere. So the first exhibition is about AI. And it's pictures generated on a computer, and when you look at most of them, they look like photographs. But they're not photographs. They're not photographs. They're computer-generated images. And so when you look at them, you can't say, oh, I like this photograph, I like this photograph. It's not photography. But as time goes on, and it's moving very, very quickly, you can say, I like the computer to take make something that looks like a photograph through the internet of Roger Ballen sitting here today being interviewed on the SABC. Microseconds, it'll be there.
Yeah.
So what anymore? So we're entering a situation where photography isn't what it used to be, a physical experience in the world taken with a camera. Now it's ultimately going to be a memory created by a computer. I can see this happening. You have to remember AI is like 2.5, 3 years old now.
Yeah. No, and it's obviously going to evolve, and the dangers that come with that, but it also propels us forward as a society. So what gives you hope with that evolution, and what do you think then makes your work sacred, and why it then becomes even more important that we look through that lens if it can be copied?
Well, First of all, people are trying to copy my work through AI, and they're not able to do this because there are a lot of bits and pieces, refinements that take a conscious mind to be able to do this. And a computer is not able to put its head into my state of mind. So I think my photographs, if you're talking about myself, are very psychologically inclined, if you want to say that. And I think they have the ability to make people reflect about their state of mind or their state of being. And if you brought up the word hope, so this is also a very complicated word. So what do we mean by hope? Do we want everybody to be driving in a Rolls Royce? Do we want everybody to have a big meal? Do we want to move people from one part of the world to the next? What do we mean by this word? So we have to be. It is difficult. So I guess in the sense that people say, what is my goal in terms of trying to make a contribution to society? I would hope that the pictures allow people to reflect on their state of being.
Roger, as we wrap up, how are the exhibitors selected? I mean, there's Psycho Pump, so that's from artists from
that's the AI.
Berlin. Yeah, exactly. You've also got, as I mentioned, the genocide trauma that's going to be experienced through in October. This is what an exhibition that the centre will obviously host. But how do you interact with those exhibitors and actually decide who's going to feature and why? What story are you trying to evoke through each?
Well, I'm trying to make the pictures relevant, provocative, interesting, relevant, all these things, and professional at the same time. So, there's a whole history of billions and billions and billions of pictures taken. So I'm a selector trying to find a path forward that I think is relevant to people in South Africa.
Well, it's about remembering, choosing to remember, and what we choose to forget. Thank you for being part
thank
of
you.
this.
It's a great pleasure
and for
being here.
the conversation
Thank you.
starters through this. Acclaimed South African photographer Roger Ballen joined us here in studio this morning, and he was just chatting about the new Centre for Photography that recently opened in Forest Town, some of the exhibitions that are obviously going to be coming as a result, and how the space is going to serve, for photographic artists from the world over, as we delve into what the meaning of collective memory also looks like. Thank you to him again for joining us